Srimad Bhagavatam is the ripened fruit of all Vedic literatures. An attempt is made here to bring this into life by the mercy and blessings of Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the founder, Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Before reciting this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayana, unto Narayana Asi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Sarasvati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Now we turn to the moment when Vidura left Hastinapura. When Vidura was invited by his elder brother, Dhritarashtra, for consultation, he entered the house and gave instructions which were exactly to the point. While speaking thus, Vidura, whose personal character was esteemed by respectable persons, was insulted by Duryodhana, who was swollen with anger and whose lips were trembling. Duryodhana was in company with Karna, his younger brothers, and his maternal uncle Shakuni. Thus being pierced by arrows through his ears and afflicted to the core of his heart, Vidura placed his bow on the door and quit his brother's palace. He was not sorry, for he considered the acts of the external energy to be supreme. Thus, without resentment and without looking back, the great soul walked away from royal life and stepped onto the path of pilgrimage. By his piety, Vidura achieved the advantages of the pious Kauravas. After leaving Hastinapura, he took shelter of many places of pilgrimages, which are the Lord's lotus feet. With a desire to gain a high order of pious life, he travelled to holy places where thousands of transcendental forms of the Lord are situated. Vidura was undoubtedly a highly elevated and pious soul. Otherwise, he would not have taken his birth in the Kaurava family. To have high parentage, to possess wealth, to be highly learned, and to have great personal beauty are all due to past pious acts. But such pious possessions are not sufficient for obtaining the grace of the Lord and being engaged in his transcendental loving service. Therefore, although already exalted, Vidura desired deeper purification and greater nearness to the Supreme Lord. Vidura considered himself less pious, and therefore he decided to travel to all the great places of pilgrimage in the world in order to achieve greater piety and advance nearer to the Lord. At that time, Lord Krishna was personally present in the world, and Vidura could have at once approached him directly, but he did not do so because he was not sufficiently freed from sin. One cannot be 100% devoted to the Lord unless and until he is completely free from all effects of sin. being honest within himself. Vidura did not presume qualification. He felt he had not yet fully earned. Vidura was conscious that by the association of the diplomatic Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana, he had lost his piety and was therefore not fit to associate at once with the Lord. More than 5,000 years ago, while Saint Vidura was traveling the earth as a pilgrim, India was known as Bharatavasa, as it is known even today. On the bank of the river Sarasvat, there were 11 places of pilgrimage, namely 1. Trita, 2. Ushana, 3. Manu, 4. Prithu, 5. Agni, 6. Asita, 7. Vayu, 8. Sudasa, 9. Go, 10. Guha, and 11. Sradadeva. Vidura visited all of them and duly performed rituals. Traveling alone and unnoticed, he moved freely, unburdened by worldly duties and obligations. Vidura traveled alone, and he was not seen or recognized by any friend or foe. Thus he enjoyed freedom of life without obligation to the many duties of the world. After passing a few days on the bank of the river Yamuna, Vidura, the self-realized soul, reached the bank of the Ganges, where the great sage Maitreya was situated. Shukadeva Goswami said, Vidura, the best amongst the Kuru dynasty, who was perfect in devotional service to the Lord, thus reached the source of the celestial Ganges river, Hardwar, where Maitreya, the great, fathomless, learned sage of the world, was seated. Vidura, who was perfect in gentleness and satisfied in transcendence, inquired from him,